have included them as well. And also, we're still doing the roll call vote because of the hybrid nature of the meeting. Just as a reminder, the meeting is being live streamed on the Central Pines website. We ask that you identify yourselves by name each time you speak, name and affiliation. The state, like I mentioned, the state law is that all votes will be conducted by roll call. Elena will be the one doing that vote. And now I'd like to ask Elena for the initial roll call. Here, thanks.
So I'm going to be doing that since Elena's running the PowerPoint. Okay, so I'm going to call out. Roll call okay. So I will just call out your names and just let us know that you're here. So Wilma Laney with Aberdeen, Teresa Beavers. Okay, we're going to do by actually jurisdiction name. Andrew. So if you can just say your names.
Ashley Strickland.
Okay.
And Chevelle Harmon.
Apex. Archer Lodge.
Matt Mulholland.
Benson. Broadway. I know he was trying to get in online. Cartwright.
Randy Haven O'Donnell, present.
Carthage. Carey.
Jennifer Robinson and Sarika Benzal.
Chatham County. Clayton. Durham. Durham County. Fuquay Marina.
Brian Haynes.
Garner. I'm sorry, we don't have a delegate from Garner right now. Hillsbury.
Kathleen Ferguson, Hillsborough, present.
Holly Springs.
Chris DeShazer, Holly Springs.
Johnston County. Henley. Knightdale. Lee County.
Walker, Kenosha.
Micro.
Katie Garcia.
Moore County. Morrisville.
Steve Rock, present.
Orange County.
Jean Hamilton. Sally Green, alternate.
Pine Level. Pinehurst. Pittsburgh. Princeton. Raleigh. Robbins. Rollsville. Sanford. Okay.
Walker, Kenosha.
Gotcha. Amazing. Somebody say anything online. Okay. Selma.
Byron McAllister, present.
Silent. Smithfield.
Andy Moore, present.
Okay. Southern Pines. Bass. Wake County.
Susan Evans, present.
Wake Forest.
Nick Sloan.
Wendell.
Jonah Loach, Dean Hamlin, Window.
Whispering Pines.
Linda Vandercook for Whispering Pines, present.
Wilson's Mills. Zebulon.
Okay, great. So we have a quorum. The next item on the agenda is to review the agenda. You guys have gotten the agenda in the your packet, and does anyone have any changes to the agenda?
Move to approve as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. I think there are no changes. I can just approve that as is. So I'll go on to the next thing. Thank you very much. The next item is presentations and recognitions. And first, we're going to start with the recognitions of outgoing delegates and alternates. Delegates and alternates leave the board each year due to elections and changes in local government appointments. Each January, this board recognizes these outgoing board members and alternates for their dedication and service to Central Pines Regional Council. The outgoing board members and alternates include, there's a long list I'm going to read. And
Each that are here, they'll come forward.
right, if you're here, your name, we're going to, we have a gift for you that we will pass out. Okay, so number one, former delegate Bob Smith, former mayor of Andrew. Former delegate Michael Parker, former Chapel Hill council member. Former delegate Jason Thompson, former Clayton council member. Mr. Thompson also served as the Central Pines former chair on the Aging Advisory Committee. Former alternate delegate Aaron Wolf, former Holly Springs council. Former delegate Don Raines, former Princeton mayor. Was the past Central Pines board chair, former Central Pines executive committee member, and former delegate to the North Carolina Association of Regional Councils Forum, serving as its chair. Mr. Raines also served as the inaugural and only town of Princeton delegate for over 20 years. Can we get that a round of applause? Former alternate delegate Michelle Medley, former Roseville council member. Former delegate Bill Haggis, former Siler City council member. Mr. Haggis also served as the Central Pines board representative to the Foreign Trade Zone Board and served most recently as its vice chair. You will continue to serve the FTZ board as a non-elected member. Correct. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Former delegate Carol Haney, Southern Pines, former Southern Pines mayor. Former delegate Chad Sari, former Wake Forest councilmember. Great. Okay. Thank you very much. Former delegate Larry Lux, former Zebulon council member. Larry also served as Central Pines Zebulon delegate as well previously. Former alternate delegate Larry Smith, former Fuquay council member. Mr. Smith also served as a Central Pines Fuquay Marine delegate. Former alternate delegate Alexa Roberts, Whispering Pines council member. Former delegate Ken Marshburn, former Garner mayor. Ken served as the Central Pines as a board member and member of the executive committee. That's the list. Lee, would you like to add anything to that?
No, we appreciate the service. There's a lot of great service that's not continuing on the board for a variety of reasons, and we appreciate your dedication. You know, I say a lot of times, I know how busy you are as elected officials, and you got your job and your elected job and things, and then you choose to be engaged in these regional conversations, and it takes a lot of time. So thank you. For our outgoing delegates, you're not gone from the family, so you're a board alumni. So we've gotten these nice Central Pines jackets, actually corset fleeces that have board alumni on them. So something to remember us by and to continue to promote the brand. So Bill, Chad, thank you for being here. Thank you very much.
Something for you all to look for. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Round of delegates, final applause as well. Next, we have recognition of outgoing DCHC board members. The presenter is Doug Lachinsky. Great.
Good evening. Please join me in thanking some of our outgoing board members. Mayor Pam Heminger of Chapel Hill, who is joining us this evening. You can come up. Recognition of how you're ending with this. So other former members, Mayor Damon Siles of Carver, Mayor Jen Weaver of Hillsborough, and Mayor Leonardo Williams, who was Councilman Leonardo Williams when he served on the DCHC board from the city of Durham. I'd like to thank them for their service on behalf of their constituents to the Metropolitan Planning Organization. Our group is responsible for a 3C, which is continuing cooperative and comprehensive transportation planning process in the Western Triangle, similar to our peer agencies at the Capital Area MPO, the Sandhills MPO, and the Central Pines RPO, which cover all of the membership here at Central Pines. These members were supportive and instrumental in the MPO joining the Central Pines Regional Council. I personally appreciate their grace and wisdom that they've shared with me since I joined the staff in July of 2022. To recognize their service, we've made donations to their chosen charitable organizations. And again, please join me in honoring their service, and a thank you from our staff and partners in our community.
Okay. Next, we have, first of all, we need some music for this one, I think. We have some late 90s Latin pop. The next item is a recognition of former Mayor Pam Heminger with J-Lo. So it's my pleasure to introduce this item because we are not only celebrating, we are not only recognizing incredible regional leadership, we are celebrating an outgoing member government mayor. Some of you may have heard about an award-winning regional effort that we support here at Central Pines Regional Council called the Jordan Lake One Water, or J-Lo. Pam Heminger not only led the way in getting elected officials to the table for collaborative problem solving for the Jordan Lake One Water effort, but she also brought joy to the endeavor. According to Peter Robb of American Rivers, and this is quotes, she was always a little tickled by the name J-Lo, and she saw the benefit of having a little fun with something as serious as clean water. Thank you, Mayor. And I'll turn it over to Town of Cary Council Member and J-Lo Chair Lori Bush for remarks. Thanks.
So on the eve of the Jordan Lake One Water Coalition's official establishment as a 501c3, yay! We are here to recognize you and talk a little bit about your key role that you played in creating, convening this group around the idea of One Water. And for those of you who may not know a lot about One Water is this holistic approach to water management where every bit of water, every drop is important, and all of our management practices should align with that. And in 2017, when I met you, we were in a room together, and with all of the people who touched water, whether it was from the river keepers to UNRB, but we tried to make it a name. To all of the representatives and municipalities around, where we sat in a room and talked about the value of all coming together for a regional goal. And at that time, we shared best practices, and you were the most passionate person in the room. And you were definitely the person who not only participated, but I remember Christine has told us that your collaborative style set the example for all the other elected officials to participate. And because you were so open and helped us look for the common good, we now have, or will have very soon, a 501c3 associated with this organization. We also know that Mayor Pam, you've left your mark everywhere you've gone, permanently in Chapel Hill as well. And we'd like to especially thank you for your leadership, your resolve, your persistence, and your ability to tell us how important it was to call it J-Lo. Because if you say J-Lo, what do you think? Jennifer loves it. Jennifer loves it. Please. But it does get everybody to ask, really, what is it? And your persistence in keeping that was important. Because of that, we now have a focus on water resource planning for Jordan Lake. And we are really glad that you participated. And I think Emily might also have something to share as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So thank you, Lori. And so a lot of people care about Mayor Pam. And we struggled to find out what would be the thing to give her. And we thought, no, not a thing. We need to do something because Pam's all about doing and making the world better. So we are sponsoring the Spring Clean Jordan Lake cleanup in your honor. And we would be delighted to invite you to come, the Board of Delegates to come, as well as I know that the J-Lo board members are interested in coming. So it'll be a nice time to be together in the spring and celebrate what you've done. So thank you so much.
I just want to add, I think that it would be missed that this J-Lo coalition is going to save those of us in the region, our members, millions and billions of dollars over time. Just in acknowledging that the old way of trying to calculate and clean that work, like it was just not possible. And this was the institution that pulled it together. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. You're gonna laugh. Jen Smith and I went back and forth between J-Lo and J-Lo. It was fun, but Central Pines stepping up to help be the facilitator, pulling us together, doing all the work, and the continued leadership of people who care. And I won't say we were all doing it. But Secretary Reagan at the time had called me up and said, "Hey, I want to come do this and tell you to do that and do this." I'm like, "No." No, we're not ready yet. We're not to the point where we're all on the same page. We're getting traction. If you come in now and try to mandate stuff, it will fall apart again. And he's like, "I can't believe you're telling me that." And I said, "Okay, give us a year." And then when he did that and we worked really hard and he came in, it was all ready to go. So I think there's value in working together, not being told what to do, but listening to each other to get that. So when I got summoned to DC a couple times, and I didn't know if he was going to come hug me or spit on me. He was director, but he did hug me. That was funny. You're like, "First mayor, tell me no." But there's a lot of value in working together to solve the problems and challenges that we're all facing. And yes, it's going to save a lot of money, but it's also going to save a lot of other things too. I mean, wildlife and healthy water for folks, and a lot of great benefit out of this. And it was my pleasure, but getting everyone to the table, it was a journey. And I appreciate everyone's support. Thank you. I will be there for the cleanup. Yes.
Maybe you can find the basketball this time.
Basketball, but covers.
Mantle covers.
Come down. Thank you.
So we have one of our outgoing delegates that is now here in person. the man, the myth, the legend, Ken Marshburn, former governor mayor. We have a gift for you. If you'll come up and for Lee. We thank you for your service.
He knows former Mayor Marshburn's always impeccably dressed, right? So I know you wear this well. So this is a alumni fleece for you. We appreciate your service, your leadership as an officer and on the executive committee. I've appreciated working with you, and your passion for Garner and your support for staff's been wonderful. So thank you, Mayor. Yes, former Mayor. No, I don't think so. Telling our new mayor, if any of you met Buddy Gupton, our new mayor.
Yes, he said he was gonna be attending, but he couldn't attend today when he came to regional day.
Oh, okay.
He did come to regional day and reps and got
Good.
good.
If you haven't met him, you'll have
Met him.
He's a very nice fellow, and he's already been in our town, and I haven't talked to him this week, so I wasn't sure if he'd be here or not. But let me just say, my 4-year term as mayor has been one of the really highlights, I guess, of my professional career. I worked for the United States government for a number of years as a career, but at any rate, when I became mayor, I didn't really realize that I would have the opportunity to meet so many nice people like all of you here. Triangle J, as I know, outset, gave me an opportunity to meet all of you nice people. Some of you are probably new, but it's really been a great ride for me. And I want you to know that as I go out as mayor, I certainly will retain an interest in organizations like this. I think I was reminded of the importance, as Pam just mentioned, of the regionalism and working together. And it certainly gave me a new perspective on how towns and cities can come together and work together. It's so essential and important to stay in time. I'm sharing with you that it's a little disconcerting to see, for me, at the national level, so much rancor and divisiveness and so forth that goes on. But it's really encouraging to see that at the local level, many times it seems as though we are even more capable of reaching across political lines and any other divisive kinds of lines. And I hope that will continue. I'm sure that it will. So I have great admiration for this organization, for Lee and all of his work. It's my privilege to serve as an officer for a brief period of time. And so thank you all, and this will help me to remember. And so I go with my blessings to all of you. Keep up the good work. It's so important, I think, at this day and time that we have and retain and maintain good people of good character in all levels of government, and you certainly all represent that. So I admire you all. Keep up the good work, and I'll be looking from a distance. All right, let's with his permission, I will go ahead and take my leave.
Okay. We have a lit. Hold on. Oh, we have something for you real quick. We have Pastor Freeman. Would you come up? We have a gift for you as well for your service as the chair. This is, I think we were going to do it last time, but couldn't make it, so maybe I'll pass it over to Lee for this.
Okay. So, Madam Past Chair, you weren't able to make the last board meeting where we were in person, where we were recognizing outgoing officers, and really appreciate your leadership over the last year. It's been fun. We've gotten a lot done. You've been so supportive of the organization as we did some big things, and you held me personally accountable as well about taking care of myself, which I appreciate. There's several of you that do that. Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. She's doing it right now. So she wanted to know if I came in early this morning. Yes, but really appreciate the leadership. So we'll do things, and then something a little more little more permanent for you since Central Pines. You can place that in your house or office or wherever you like. So thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mayor Ken Matchburn said everything.
Okay. Thanks so much for your service on this board. Next, we have welcome for incoming delegates and alternates. New delegates and alternates join the Central Pines Regional Council Board of Delegates yearly because of elections and local government appointment processes. Each January, the board welcomes these new members to the Board of Delegates and asks each new member and alternate to introduce themselves. I think because of the number we have, if you'll just raise your hand or stand up or both. If you're here in person, if you're on the virtual, if you'll come on camera when I call your name, and we'll try to get through these. And I'm sorry if I messed your name up. I'll try to do these right. Okay. First, we have Delegate Chevelle Harvey, Town of Anzo.
You did so good.
Alternate Delegate Ashley Strickland, Town of Anzo. Alternate Delegate Ann Gray, Town of Apex. Delegate Matthew Mulholland, Town of Archer Lodge. Alternate Sakira Font.
Sarika.
Sorry. I wrote it down. Sorry. My apologies. Sarika Bansel, Town of Cary. Delegate Michael Sims, Town of Clayton. Alternate Delegate Porter Casey, Town of Delegate Jason Lynch, Town of Fuquay Arena. Alternate Delegate Brian Haynes, Town of Fuquay Arena. Great, thank you. Alternate Delegate Chris Shazor.
I'm actually the delegate for Highland Springs.
You are the delegate.
Yes.
Okay. We may know that. Yeah. Alternate Delegate April Stevens, Johnston County. Alternate Delegate Cameron Sharp, County. Is it too fast? Oh. Alternate Delegate Donna Fiender, Town of Mooresville. Did I miss somebody? Was it too fast? Oh, you're coming up, sorry. Alternate Delegate Sally Green, Orange County. Delegate Stacy Johnson, Town of Princeton. Great, thank you, Stacy.
Yes, it is.
Welcome aboard. Alternate Delegate Walter Martin, Town of Princeton. Alternate Delegate Mark Akinosha, City of Sanford. Thank you. Alternate Delegate Travis Patterson, Town of Siler City. Alternate Delegate George Blackwell Jr., Town of Bend. Delegate Nick Slowitsky, Town of Wake Forest. Great job. Alternate Delegate Angie Molinix. Alternate Delegate Tim Brown, Wilson's Mills, sorry. And Delegate Shannon Baxter, Town of Zebulon. Let's get a round of applause for these new my experience, at least as vice chair and on the board for several years, is that this time spent with these folks has been great for networking, for learning about the region, learning more about how you can better serve your communities as well. So I hope you get that as much satisfaction as I've gotten so far. Next, I'll pass it over to Lee for the Central Pines Regional Council Years of Service Awards.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Every year, we're really pleased to honor Central Pines employees who have reached certain milestones in their service to the organization, whether that be 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And we actually have 3 individuals this year who have hit one of those service marks. 2 of them were here earlier, but they had other commitments. And so we have one of those employees here that we want to recognize with a gift and some appreciation. So if you'll advance the slides. The slide. So Carolyn Pennington, I know many of you know and have worked with. Carolyn is one of our regional ombudsmen. And for those who are new delegates or alternates, our ombudsmen are with our aging and human services folks area. And they visit all the long-term care facilities in the region and advocate and work with residents of those facilities to make sure that their rights are being upheld and respected by the homes that they live in. It's a tough job, but I think it's a really rewarding job, and Carolyn's been doing it for 10 years. So we appreciate Carolyn's service to the organization for the last 10 years. Next is Ben Bearden, and Ben's here today if you'll come up. Ben's been with us 20 years, and we're really pleased about that. Ben, congratulations. Ben is really the heart and soul behind what you see in long-range transportation plans. There are a lot of people that do a lot of good work, but the data, a lot of the mapping, a lot of the guts of the plan that gets presented, or the information that gets presented to decision makers to make decisions, is coordinated here. And Ben has a huge part in that, a huge part. And he's been doing that for 20 years. He's done an excellent job with it, and is grown through a lot of technology changes and a lot of changes about the way we do things, and just keeps adapting and doing a great job. So Ben, is there anything you'd like to say?
Well, I mean, I've been here since I started in 2003 as an intern for UNRBA or Broad. Yeah. And so that, and actually, there was one person in the room tonight that was here when I was hired, and that's Sid. Yeah, that's right. But he was working here when I got hired. That's right. Started doing water resources planning, and then tried to get the GIS job at the end of that, and then somebody else got it, but then that person had to go back to like Denmark or something. And like, so 2 months later, I got the call, and I've been here ever since.
I'm glad you got the call. Thank you. Appreciate all of it. All right, and then the third individual who's not able to be with us tonight is Amy Kepler. Amy is also one of our regional long-term care ombudsmen. She's also been with the organization for 20 years. And like Carolyn, she has a real passion and heart for seniors and making sure that they're protected and really advocating for them. She's out in the field almost every day, visiting individuals, visiting long-term care facilities, and making sure that our older adults are protected. And we really appreciate that. It's an important job. So appreciation to Amy for her long service with us as well for 20 years. So those are our length of service recognitions for this year. We'll do this again in January for those that hit those milestones again. So thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Appreciate it.
Okay. Next, I'd like to call up Emily Barrett. We have a panel, my understanding, where it's a local government highlight. These are two longstanding regional water resource projects: the Triangle Area Water Supply Monitoring Partnership and the Triangle Water Supply Partnership.
Thank you so much. So I'm Emily Barrett. I'm the Environment and Resilience Director here at CPRC, and we're so thrilled to be able to be the local government spotlight because there's so much that goes on here at CPRC that are really long-standing projects that we don't take them for granted ever, but they're just so important and so ingrained to our everyday that we forget that we get new board members who need orientation to these wonderful projects. Now, I will say neither of these have a catchy name, so I apologize, there's no J-Los, but we do have some local government members who are here to tell you about two of them. The first is the Triangle Area Water Supply Monitoring Partnership, and you might be tempted to call it TASO, and that's okay. It's not very, it doesn't have a great ring. So I'll introduce Sydney Miller from the City of Durham Water Utility to talk a little bit about TASO and let you know why it's important and why we've been doing it for so many years. So Sid Miller.
Good evening. So first, before I talk about policy, I just want to say that Ben outed me as an old Triangle J employee, now Central Pines. Ben was also central to the heart of the data that went into the City of Durham's Long Range Water Resources Plan. So he doesn't even remember that. So anyway, I just want to point that out. So there are many regional water-related programs at Central Pines. So I'm going to have to think every time to say Central Pines. So we're only going to be talking about a couple of them. So there's this, the Triangle Area Water Supply Monitoring Partnership. And there are a number of slides. Keep going. There are a number of slides. I'm not going to read the slides. You can all read the slides. I'm just going to say the things that I think of as being really important. So this has been around for a long time. And actually, so I started working for Central Pines in 2002. It was 2002 when I started at Central Pines. And this program already existed. You know, it had already been, it started as it shows 1980, it already existed. And one of the very first things I had to do when I got to Central Pines was negotiate the contract for the next 4 or 5 years of the project. I didn't know what it was. But that was like one of the first things I had to do because the position I was in was vacant for like 1 or 2 years right before the time that project was going to end. So anyway, so it continued. Keep going. Next slide. So these are the current members of that partnership. Each one helps support and fund the partnership. The membership has changed somewhat over time. All of these members have been members, I think, from the beginning. There were some other members that started and dropped out, or dropped out, came back, and then dropped out again, but these have been constant. Next. So one of the central reasons, I think, for this partnership is there's this long history of data about water quality and water quantity that's managed by the U.S. Geological Survey. And USGS is the gold standard for data. There's no repository of data that are of better quality than USGS. They do all of the work when it comes to collecting and managing those data. There are other partnerships for water data. There's the Upper Cape River Basin Association. And the members of that organization, and City of Durham is one of those members, staff time has to be spent ensuring the quality of those data. And it's a lot of time looking over data, and it's boring. And it's a lot of time. And they have to spend a lot of time doing that just to make sure that the data are good, or data that have to be qualified or whatever. USGS does all that. We don't have to spend any time on it or worry about it. We know that the data are good and without question. Next slide. Oh, and how much time do I have?
You're good.
Okay. So, I guess that was one of the benefits, but, we don't question the data. The data are available anytime we need it for anything. Like City of Durham, we use the data regularly when it comes to looking at what are the inflows to our reservoirs, what are the outflows from our reservoirs. It's something that we look at least on a weekly basis. When we get questions about water quality, which happens, we can point to data that allow us to explain what the quality of water is, not just what is it now, but what has it been for the past 20 or 30 years? What are the trends? What does it look like? And then periodically, we do special studies with USGS. So back in 2007, we did a study on contaminants of emerging concern. So this was at the very beginning where people were getting concerned about what are the pharmaceuticals in the water? What are the metabolites of things that we eat that are in the water? What are the personal care product residuals that are in the water? Things that cause, things that are called endocrine disruptors, etc. We were at the front of that with the USGS and got a report. And we learned that largely the people in the Triangle region use aspirin and smoke cigarettes, and a lot of those things end up in the water. There wasn't anything really earth-shattering, but we were able to point to a report that said, this is what we've got. Next slide. So we use the data for building our hydrologic models. One example is the Cape Fear River Basin hydrologic model that's used by the state of North Carolina for helping manage water and water supply in that entire river basin. USGS data go into that. Not just the data that we support, but USGS data throughout the state gets used for that purpose. We use it at the City of Durham. We have our own hydrologic models that help us determine whether we are at risk of going into a water shortage. Use those data. Another thing actually go to the next slide, because I think there might be a slide. So, all of our water supply systems in the Triangle region are interconnected. And this is really important because this allows us to help each other when a system has a problem. Like something happened in Chapel Hill a few years ago, and they had a crisis. And the City of Durham was able to supply water to Chapel Hill for a couple days, such that it wasn't worse than it was. Well, because we're all interconnected, having some understanding of what the water quality is for all those different water supplies is really important. We all know what is in each other's supplies of water. And we know that because of the Triangle Area Water Supply Partnership. I think,
It's a great segue to your colleague
there we go. If you have questions.
Can I ask on this one, the purple and blue, are they, what's the difference?
So the blue arrows are the raw water supplies, showing, like, for example, Jordan Lake is supporting both Cary and Apex and part of Chatham County. And then this is the treated water. Okay.
So even though it has a very similar name, we have another project called the Triangle Water Supply Partnership. And Whit Wheeler, the director of Raleigh Water, is here to talk to you a little bit about the project. He's the current chair and how it's brought value to him and Raleigh and our partners.
Thank you. Yeah, so Raleigh Water, I just want to mention that we also supply water and sewer services to Garner, Nightdale, Wendell, Zebulon, Roseland, Wake Forest to the north.
Next slide, please. So just a little bit of history. The Triangle Water Supply Partnership was originally formed as what was known as the Jordan Lake Partnership, if you all may recall that. That was established to go about the process of how the water supply pool in Jordan Lake would be utilized by the different municipalities in the area, and how that allocation would fall out into that community. And when that project reached a particular milestone, there was a recognition that having the lines of these utilities brought a lot of value for collaboration and coordination for not just water supply, but many other things. And so under the leadership of Don Greeley from the city of Durham, we decided that it was appropriate to rename that organization to the Triangle Water Supply Partnership, with a focus on interactions with the whole area. And thankfully, that organization has grown quite a bit over the last, since 2018 when we changed the name. Next slide. And so currently we have 15 members, Apex, Kearney, Chatham County, Clayton, Durham, Fuquay, Marina, Holly Springs, Harnett County or Harnett Regional Water, Hillsborough, Johnson County, Morrisville, Orange County, Orange Water and Sewer Authority, Pittsboro, and of course, City of Raleigh. And, again, thankfully, this organization has grown across 6 counties. And what Sid had mentioned earlier was one of the important things we've recognized is how do we help each other. Next slide, please. So one of the more important projects that we started in that group was an interconnection model of all those utilities. And so to my knowledge, this is the first time that a water model of that size and magnitude has been done really anywhere in the region, not just region, but the multi-state region that I can think of. And so by mathematically modeling those 13 utilities, we were able to figure out how we can move water around a 6-county area. And we were able to run scenarios like if a particular municipality had an outage, something that's even as serious as a water plant being down or large transmission mains, how could we move water in different ways to make sure that community could be kept supplied in water? And that was a tremendously valuable accomplishment for us. I'll use an example that we represented from Raleigh. So last year we were going through our AAA bond rating re-rating process. And any of you who've been through the bond rating, you understand how much scrutiny there is and all the financial metrics and so forth that you're trying to manage. One of the rating agencies, Fitch, had come up with a new metric, and it was really putting the kink in our mind. And so we had to really go back and focus on projects that we were planning. And because of this work that we had done, we were able to realize that our connections with the town of Cary and the city of Durham could help supply us in the specific time of need. We were able to postpone a major capital project, kick it down the road because of that work. And so that, it was a great story. We kept our AAA bond rating, very thankful for that. But I just want to highlight how important this work has been for us. And of course, now we're in the process of a regional water supply planning process. And so it's not just Jordan Lake, it's also the resources in the Neuse River, Falls Lake, but we're all looking at that together. And the value that brings is, we're not siloed when we're trying to make assumptions and decisions. We get to all come to the table and share our data so that we're focused on the right parameters and the right growth rates and how different things happen. And it's just been a very valuable process. If nothing else, it gives you a lot of confirmation and confidence to know that the planning that you're doing is well coordinated with your neighbors. So it's been very, very valuable from that perspective. And the fact that we get together and meet every 2 months It's more than just these two projects. We cover all sorts of things. Emerging contaminants, Sid mentioned that. You probably heard about perfluorinated compounds. It's been a big deal for a lot of us. We've been able to collaborate and have discussions on how we're going to manage through pending regulations on that. Even things like staffing, sharing ideas about how to deal with shortages in the workforce and training and that sort of thing. So that collaboration effort has just been extraordinary for me personally and others in the group. And so Jamie Rebels from Cary, he's going to come and talk to you about another project that has spun off of that that has to do with lead and copper. So Jamie, I'll welcome you.
Thank you. Just to build on both what Sydney's talk and Witt's talk, and how proud we are of this partnership. For those of us who went through the drought, if you remember that back in 2007, 2008, that was a tough time for the region. And so the work that we've done with the regional model and the regional water supply, and everything that Sydney and Witt went through in their talks, is so important for us today. We weren't as interconnected back then, and now we are. And every time I see the map that goes up and shows all of the interconnectedness within the entire region and how we can move water from one municipality through two towns and go to another city on the other side of all of that, how we can make all of that happen. And we got the mutual aid agreements to support it. So we got the infrastructure, the agreements, everything's in place. And that wouldn't have been possible without this partnership. So we're super proud of that. It's another success story that has happened over a long period of time. So I'm here to talk about the lead and copper, rules work group. And so we don't have a catchy title, but we got some catchy acronyms because we have regulations to talk about. So we've been operating under what's called the lead and copper rule ever since we opened our water plant in 1993. And so we know about the regulation. We know it well. We've been operating under it for quite a long time. So here a few years ago, if you think back to Flint, Michigan, and the whole story with the lead contamination that happened there, and then also in some of the big cities in the Northeast, there were new rules adopted by the EPA. And so the old rule and the current rule is the LCR, the lead and copper rule. But the new rule is the lead and copper rule revisions, the LCRR. And so to make it even more interesting, there's even yet another variation that's called the lead and copper rule improvements that's out for review by EPA right now. So there's about 3 different versions of all of this that we're working through. And so you can imagine how beneficial it is for us to have a work team regionally so we can share all our information and just really help each other out. And so one of the issues that's noted on the slide here is using predictive modeling, because one of the big parts and one of the big features of the new rule is we have to identify every single service line material, both public side and private side, for all of our citizens and all of our customer accounts. And we really need to get it done by October 16th, 2024. A date that's burned in my memory, because I think, Cary and every other municipality is working towards that date. It's a very, very important deadline. So we're working towards that. Predictive modeling is one tool, and then we're going out and doing physical field verifications where we can go out and determine exactly what those service line materials are. And so the value of our partnership is we're all working with experts, we're working, with new technologies and innovative systems, and we're working with the state regulatory community. And so we can all come together in this work group throughout our region, and we can share our best practices. We can share our information, and it is so, so helpful. So we'll go to the next slide. And so this is just an example of some of the guidance that we have from EPA. They provided tons of guidance and resources for us, and just more of the same. This partnership provides a way for us to come together, work through our problems, work through our challenges. One of the elements of the new rule is we're going to have to be out doing water sampling and testing for schools and daycare centers. And so that's something that takes effect after October 2024, but we gotta have a plan for it by then. So this is yet another aspect where we're all sharing information. And we're all kind of thinking about regional strategies where we might be able to work together on contracted services, for instance, to help achieve some of the sampling, to take advantage of testing that's already being done in the region. So there's a lot of ways by working together that we can make this process highly effective, but also more efficient for everybody who participates in it. So we're super thankful for the partnership. We knew that this was a big regulatory mandate for everybody, and this is just another work group that kind of spurred off from our tribal water partners meetings, and these work group meetings are very well attended, and it does put a little pressure on us. We're all sharing information, so we're all bringing our best ideas to the table. And so that's that. We're working hard. We're going to, I think, throughout the entire region, we're going to try to hit that October 16th, 2024 deadline.
Jamie and Whit and Sid for your leadership regionally, and for saying yes to coming and speaking to the Board of Delegates. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Gant to take us to the next agenda item.
Okay, great.
You want to say first question? We got a lot of
Wait, too fast here?
No, we found the time, so if you want to do it.
So Lee pointed out that we have a little bit of time. We had a potential guest speaker who couldn't make it, and so we do have some time for questions. Now's your chance to have some of the top water experts in the area answer questions. Yes.
I wanted to know if the two water work groups are having conversation about the PFAS, PFOA issues with Jordan Lake, Hall River. We're, folks, for example, in Wilmington, Leland, North Carolina, have put in filtration systems to address the Chemours PFAS, PFOA issue. And I was wondering if that issue from what is flowing downstream from Greensboro is, if there's conversation about a regional approach to filtration.
Well, I haven't heard a conversation about a regional approach to filtration, but all water is connected, right? And we have upstream and downstream, and so both the groups that have been discussed tonight have been paying a lot of attention to PFAS. So I'll turn it over to TWP Chair Whit Wheeler to talk first, and Sid may want to add about the one-year study that we're doing for your process as well.
So yeah, that's something we've been paying a lot of attention to for a very long time. And I know in Raleigh we've been sampling for fluorine compounds since I think 2013. Posting that information on the website. I know during this period we've been doing very similar things. So we've been very aware of what has been detected. And we have in our group, we talk quite a bit and collaborate on how we would meet pending regulations. And thankfully, Cary, Durham, and Raleigh, we're all pretty comfortable right now that we're going to be able to meet those regulations with what's known as powder activated carbon. And so instead of having the filtration on the far end, you can introduce powder activated carbon at the beginning of the plant, and that can remove those compounds and settle out as well. Now, the good news is we all have that powder activated carbon system in place because it's been a long time used tool for taste and odor. I don't know if you've ever had the pond smell the pond taste and water. That's because that's a problem with water quality that's been addressed with powder activated carbon, and so we're comfortable that that's what we're going to be doing locally. Jamie, you've got a lot of history in this, a lot of piloting. I don't know if you want to add something to that, and you've got more experience than we've had.
Yeah, I was just going to add on that, one of the things that we've offered to the Central Pines membership is we've done site visits out at the Cary Wastewater Treatment Facility. And so the Durham team and their partners, the Western Intake Partnership Group, they're planning for a Western Intake facility on Jordan Lake that'll be a future water treatment plant. And so for them to be able to do pilot testing of new process technology and use Jordan Lake water, they're actually doing their pilot testing at the Cary Apex Water Treatment Facility. And so they're testing a wide range of new and innovative technologies, and we're also doing some of our own pilot testing in conjunction with the Western Intake partners. And so there's a lot going on at the Cary Apex Water Treatment Facility right now to test all of the different technologies. And we've had field days where we've invited everybody out, and we've had the experts there to really kind of walk the team through and show them what's available and what's working and how it's going. And that's something that we'll keep updating the entire business on as we go forward.
Yeah, I have a question. Last week, President Biden is addressing Romney, talked about $31 billion of the ARP money, the infrastructure money going into North Carolina manufacturing companies, also because of the CHIPS Act. So there's been a lot of money coming in for Wolfspeed, VinFast. Morrisville recently got a big one called Forge Nano, which is lithium battery manufacturing. And my question and concern is that in Morrisville, for example, the biggest problem we've been having is running out of enough electricity and power, largely because of the large pharmaceutical and life sciences. We have a $1.3 billion life science campus that's coming in called Sparks, and that's consuming a lot of electricity. But my concern, just at a high level, is the water supply, and are we factoring that in to economic development? If we got, all this money is coming in, but these manufacturing companies, particularly advanced manufacturing, whether they require a lot of water, a lot of power, and how are we factoring this into our economic development strategy for the region and the state?
Yes, I can speak to that one. So, obviously, Cary provides the drinking water to Cary, Morrisville, Apex, Wake RTP, and the RDU airport. So we got you covered. But we've been doing regional planning for many years, and so we're looking really good on water supply and water capacity for decades. But that's not good enough. And so, just a couple of weeks ago, we started a brand new long-range water resources planning process. We're looking 50 years out into the future, and that's something that we're doing so that we can always make sure that our water supply is robust and that we can support future economic development. So right now, just to kind of give you the numbers, the Cary Apex Water Treatment Facility is permit rated for 56 million gallons per day of capacity. We're currently treating around 22. And so now we have fluctuations, we have peak demand days and we have, just average ordinary days and everything in between. So we're about 50%, allocated right now. And but we know that the growth in our region is robust and that we're thinking about all of our partners. And so when we did this long-range water resources plan kickoff just a couple of weeks ago, we had all of our partners in the room. We had RDU in the room. We had Morrisville represented in the room. Apex was in the room. Wake RTP, the Wake County Research Triangle Planning people were there, or part of the process. And so we brought all of our partners in, and we're going to be looking at the next 50 years to make sure that we're staying well prepared and well ahead of the curve.
Yes.
Just to piggyback on that just for a second, and this probably has to do with the planning effort that sort of just been kicked off, but eastern part of the county, Little River has been, and future Little River Reservoir has been a long-term conversation. Is that, what's the possibility or likelihood of there needing to be a Little River Reservoir? Is it 50 years from now? Is it 100 years from now?
So we have in Raleigh, we've got water supply that will carry us to what we believe around 2045-ish. Okay. And so we are currently in the process of planning our next water supply source. Okay. And there are two leading options. One is a Little River Reservoir. And the other option is a withdrawal from the Neuse River upstream of Raleigh's wastewater treatment plant. Okay, so right now we are heavily looking at which one of those options is the best for the region is concerned.
Is that part of that bigger regional thing, effort, or is that sort of his own?
Well, that's a Raleigh water effort, but the bigger project that we're talking about, the forecasting, we're doing that all together. So we're looking at growth rates, gallons per capita per day, all those different parameters. That's what I was saying. It's helpful when we're able to collaborate, that we're all talking together as we're producing these things, because it's a regional economy clearly. So,
and that's one of the great strengths of our partnership is we can synchronize all of our plans. And so, Apex just completed their, to give an example, they completed their long range plan last year. As we've mentioned, the Triangle Water Partners are doing the regional water supply plan right now. And in Cary, we just kicked off our plan, and so we can benefit from all the work that's being done regionally through the partnership, and then all the work that's already been completed by Apex, for instance. We wrap all of that into the Cary plan, and then the Cary plan wraps into the regional plan.
And so I just want to add one more thing. I mean, everything that they've said is true, and I'd like to underscore that these plans are not one-off. This is a cycle. We repeat this cycle every 5 to 10 years. And we're looking out 30 to 50 years each time. So, you may have these periodic economic development injections, but those are like blips on this long curve we're looking at that extends 50 years.
I did want to add one thing, which is the TAWSUP, the Triangle Area Water Supply Monitoring Partnership that has USGS testing waters, doing a 1-year PFAS study. So we'll have good data on our array of PFAS analytes, and we'll be able, at the end of the year, to so I think that's important. Yes, sir.
What is how big is our water source at this time? The water sources from the lake. How big is it? Because we have a projection for the next 50 years. We are dependent on the sources where the water is coming from. How big is our water source?
The data that I've seen for climate change thankfully shows that we will likely have wetter years in the future, not drier. So that, it's all very statistical based, but at least the studies I've seen are projecting for wetter years. So we're not thinking we're going to see a reduction in the yield of Falls Lake or Jordan Lake, but at least they would be stable, maybe a little more. I don't know. Sid or Jamie,
I was just going to add on to that, the water supplies are very robust. They do fluctuate. And in terms of the water quality, it's always our goal, when we're building water treatment facilities, we want to make those water treatment facilities as robust as possible, so that no matter what changes with water quality, because it changes from the spring to the summer to the fall to the winter, we end up with a lot of seasonal changes. But we make sure our water treatment systems are robust enough that the citizens, they never notice any difference in the quality. The water tastes the same all year round. It is the same all year round. And so that's part of what we do on the engineering side of building our water treatment facilities, is we build those technologies in so that we can adjust and we can account for whatever those changes are with the source water quality.
My second question is, how is the use of technology in the usage of water affecting your family? Because before, when you flush your water, what you use for cleaning your clothes and all of this water all of our intakes, how is it affecting your planning? Because as we're having a population growth and we have all this technology that we're using for our plumbing system and different things, and washers, washing machines and in the house, how does that affect your planning?
So we take into account all of those things when we plan for water supply. We take into account how water is being used, and we take into account how that usage and the rate of that usage changes with technology over time. When we're not just planning, we plan for water, we're not just planning for the supply of raw water to produce drinking water and deliver drinking water. We're also planning for the collection of the resulting wastewater and the treatment of that wastewater and return of that water back to the environment. Look at all of it.
You know, Sydney mentioned, you know, also that we update plans every 5 to 8 years, and that's an important part of it is looking at per capita water consumption. And you know, technology has advanced quite a lot, even at the household level, and that's driven things to be a lot more efficient than they used to be. And so, you know, I look at our per capita water consumption go down quite a bit over the years, and I'm sure it's the same around the region. And so that helps us extend those water supplies even longer, and it's something that we definitely always refine and update as we go through those planning processes.
Conservation has been a huge tool, at least in Raleigh. And one of the things that we implemented was a tiered rate structure, so that there was an incentive to use less water. And so our median household usage now is about 4,000 gallons per home, whereas it used to be about 6,000. So that you know, there's been a substantial change. I know a lot of it has to do with better washing machines and fixtures and that sort of thing, but there's definitely been an impact.
No, Councilmember Freeman and Councilmember Gannon.
I just wanted to ask, if the plan accounts for the unincorporated areas. I understand, like, for the cities and towns, you know, it's kind of the set thing, but what about the unincorporated areas?
I think we all look at not just current service area, but potential future service area as well.
When you say future, is that accounting for bringing them online to the existing system, or
yes,
actually making sure maintaining their current well water?
Well, at least at the city of Durham, we can't be responsible for like so people's wells. That is managed by the county Department of Health, right? Permitting individual private wells is managed by county health departments. And then each homeowner is responsible for their own well. Our city's utility system can't plan for their water well use, right? Now, we can include potential service area which may currently contain wells, right? But we're not planning around those wells. Does that make sense?
I don't know if I will, but I think I'll handle
In many cases, there are service area boundaries where there are agreements in different areas that, you know, we're going to serve to this area, we're going to grow to this area. And so that, you know, those are lines that we plan to. That helps define that region.
I was just going to add one thing. Those boundaries are pretty well established, but another aspect that rolls into that is changing density. So even within our current boundaries and our current areas, we are planning for increasing densities in those targeted areas. And so that's something we're looking at as well.
And finally, any utility will extend service to a home that has a failed well if that home is close enough to their distribution system.
And if I can follow up, I think that's what I'm trying to understand is how we plan, or how we, as a council member, plan for that unintended consequence of that density, so that we're understanding how it's having impact on folks' wells, and then noting that we're gonna have to pay for or come up with a system to cover getting them to that utility as they continue to fail. Or I want to be specific, that's in Durham. I know it's not in Durham County. I don't know if that's happening in your county, but I know in Durham County.
Your time?
Sure.
I was wondering about the lead cartoon and how well those lead sources are quantified as a region and also in each individual county or municipality.
That's kind of our big charge going into the October 16th, 2024 deadline is by identifying every single service even fire plants. Public side and private side, if we uncover any lead, we're gonna know where it is and then we'll deal with it. We'll replace it. We'll work with the homeowners if it's on the private side, we'll remedy the situation. But that's a big part of the regulation, is making sure that we physically verify what those service line materials are, and by identifying the service lines, that'll give us the intel we need to remedy those situations.
Yeah, they just sent out letters to homeowners that have older homes with pictures of what the all of the connectors look like in their home to help homeowners identify whether or not they have a potential lead issue in their homes. And then if they don't want to crawl under the house or they don't know what they're looking at, they also have at the bottom of the letter, you can call 311 and we'll come out and help you with that.
So certain areas or places in municipalities or counties may have a much more concerning issue with that than others. Depending on the age of the holders.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I do want to mention that you hear a lot of talk about lead service lines. We've never found a lead service line in Raleigh. Now we have galvanized service lines that have a lead connector. And so that's what we have been hyper focused on, finding those galvanized lines and removing and replacing those. And I probably the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's good news for our area. So most of the issues we deal with is old plumbing.
Councilmember Curran had a question.
Yeah, it's kind of follow up to the question that he was asking about the waivers. If I look at the partnership, it's mostly water suppliers and the people that use the water suppliers. And I guess the question I have is I know the counties monitor the systems, but who is looking at long-term overall planning? I mean, we're in 2024 now, 25 years almost in the 21st century in Wake County and probably Durham County too. Who is looking at the plans to make sure we're not keep putting wells in? Because where I live, it's not lead, it's radon. Radon is really bad in well water. And we hooked up some just because of sickness. It wasn't because they didn't have water, it was making them sick. And we had to hook them up. They had to hook up. But I guess y'all's group are not looking at how do we eliminate, how do we exterminate whales, and what is the plan to do that in the future, and how does that going to work? Because I think that's the answer. I think that's the answer. But we put this subdivision being put in around us with huge subdivisions with whales. They're private whales, but they get it out of the ground. It's groundwater.
We might want to talk about the State Division of Water Infrastructure and their push for funding regionalization. Because I think at the state level, there's a lot of feeling similar to what you have, is that if the state can help reduce the risk for any one community, they want to help regionalize. And so I think that's the push at the state level, is to support regionalization. Do you have anything to add?
I was just going to mention that in Wake County is developing a long-range water resources plan where they're looking at the feasibility of the wells and the long-term viability of those systems and how all of that's arranged. And so even for some of the communities who may get their water from wells, they still are a public water supply. They might be aqua utilities or one of those, but there's a central well and they operate under public water supply regulations, as opposed to each individual home having an individual well. So, there's a lot of those too. I just can speak to Wake County, but out in Wake County, there's a number of those communities, but they are operating under community water supply regulations, and it's, it's a little different than, a homeowner managing their own well. But there's plenty of those as well.
Yeah, I will say that we've got a couple of connections, emergency connections with Aqua, where they've got large groundwater systems where we can help out in a tough time. We've done that before in certain places. So that's, those kind of partnerships, I think, will continue forward. So
I think we should give these guys a hearty round of applause.
Okay, so the next order of business is the consent agenda. That should be in your packet. And just the two things. Okay, just the draft minutes from the October 25th, 2023 meeting, as well as a budget amendment number 5. If anyone would like to, okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Close. I think this requires a roll call vote, so I'll call on Elena or Beth to do that. Thanks.
So just as a reminder, or for anyone who's new, we're going to do one vote per jurisdiction. So if you have both your delegate and your alternate present, if the delegate can vote for you. Aberdeen. Andrew. Who votes for? Apex.
Approved.
Archer Lodge.
Approved.
Benson. Broadway. Carberry.
I approve.
Carthage. Cary.
Approve.
Chatham County. Clayton. Durham. Durham County. Fuquay Marina. Hillsbury.
Approved.
Holly Springs.
Approved.
Johnston County. Emily. Nightdale. Lee County. Micro.
Approved.
Warren County. Morrisville.
Approved.
Orange County.
Approved.
Pine Level. Pittsburgh. Princeton. Riley. Robbins. Rollsville. Sanford. Selma. Siler City. Smithfield.
Andy Moore, approved.
Southern Pines. Bass. Wade County. Aye. Wake Forest.
Aye.
Wendell.
Aye.
Whispering Pines.
This is Linda Vandercook from Whispering Pines. Aye.
Wilson's Mills. And Zebulon. Carries.
Okay. Next, we have the executive director's report. So Lee, will do that.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Thank you again for coming here today. We really appreciate it. Thank you to the presenters tonight. It was really interesting, all the information that you presented. And just again, it's wonderful to see these local governments with history and collaboration. And I said it on Regional Day that the strength of this region is really the ability of multiple local governments coming together and collaborating. And that's what makes this region the best in the country. I'm biased, but we're the best. We need to stay the best. We've got some challenges, but I have a lot of confidence, and I welcome the new delegates and newly elected officials. As you can see from folks who came before you, the value of working together in our region is really important and has contributed to a lot of the success. So the only other item that I have to report is to let you know as delegates and alternates that we'll be working on an email to you. We have a few opportunities for you to get more involved in the organization. And so we'll present those to you in a survey to see what you may be interested in. We have a couple specific vacancies that we need a delegate or an alternate to show interest in. One is we need a alternate to the North Carolina Association of Regional Councils Forum. Ms. Ferguson is the delegate to that group. That's the elected officials that get together every few months from each of the councils of government, and they help us advocate for our regional, our state COG association agenda. So we need an alternate for that group.
He just volunteered.
All right, so those are appointments that the chair will make. So we'll get that out, and I think whoever is interested, but certainly Mr. Curran would be well qualified. So we have that. We also need a elected official to fill Mr. Hayes' vacancy on the Foreign Trade Zone board. So the Foreign Trade Zone is really interesting. There's a lot of interesting work that goes on with that. We need an elected official to fill that vacancy. I think they meet every few months. It's a great collaboration between U.S. Customs, private business, and Central Pines. So we'll send that one out. There's some interest on that one. Okay, so we might just get these filled.
I'm interested too, but it's not a film I'm going to die for.
So again, the chair will make these appointments, but I will we'll talk. And then the last one is we need a chair of the Aging Advisory Committee. Janisha Hennigan and Ashley Price are here. Our aging director is Janisha, our assistant director is Ashley. A member of the board has to be the chair of the Aging Advisory Committee. Great group of individuals that come together and talk about issues in aging and actually help shepherd the state aging plan that has to be adopted at the region. So if you want to learn more about that, I'm sure Janisha will actually be happy to talk to you. But the bylaw says that the chair of that group has to be a board member, so you would actually be chairing those meetings. But it's a great opportunity to interact with folks across the region. Lastly, part of the reconfiguration of these board meetings, the full board is going to be meeting less often during the year, but we are going to be instituting subcommittees of the board. So having subcommittees around each of our strategic focus areas. So the Aging Advisory Committee is the one that represents aging. We'll have a subcommittee around community and economic development, one around housing, one around environment and resilience, one around our work on member support and strategy. We're going to have a regional policy group that will talk about how we engage the legislature, not lobbying, but how we do legislative day and work on regional issues. There's not going to be a transportation. There's a lot of transportation committees already, but talking to Matt, we are going to have a small group of you all think about how we can convene maybe once a year in a summit, all the different transportation groups. So the 3 MPOs now in our region and the 2 RPOs, making sure we bring them together maybe yearly. So there'll be a small sort of planning group. So we'll send that out and you can mark your interest in those subcommittees. We'll need 1 elected official to serve as the chair. And they'll only meet at most quarterly. So a way to get a little more involved in a specific focus area. So just FYI, we'll get that information out to you and appreciate your interest and thank you for being here tonight. Mr. Chair, it's all the project.
Thank you, Lee. I don't have much of a chair's report. What I will say is we had our longest, angriest town council meeting in 6 years on the council last night at midnight. So thanks for hanging in there with me for this meeting. What we do at the end of these meetings, for those who are new, is an around the region activity where we volunteer or call on people to say what is going on in your community that's maybe worth sharing with the the rest of the board. I personally find the prompt is often helpful to kind of guide the conversation. So my prompt for around the region this time is, what event or project are you most excited about occurring this year? Kind of wrong. So maybe volunteers first.
Not for the whole year, but the most exciting thing that's happened this month for us is that we celebrated the opening of the Cornerstone Center in Wake County. It's a building that we had that been used for other things that we just spent several months refurbishing, and it will be a center that will have 20 units to serve homeless folks dealing with mental health issues and substance abuse issues. There are 20 individual rooms with private bathrooms and little kitchenettes, very nice facility, and then we'll be providing on-site, services for those folks there to help them get stability and hopefully eventually find permanent housing. So we're just really excited about the opening of our Cornerstone building. It's off Morgan Street, not too far from downtown Raleigh.
Sanford will be celebrating 150 years of being a city. So we invite everyone to come out and celebrate with us. We start from February to the 4th of April is our real anniversary. So Sanford will be 150 years.
That's great. My parents were there for the 100th anniversary. They grew up in Sanford, so it was a big deal then. I'm sure this will be a big deal as well. Who else we got? There was another hand I think I saw. Yeah.
Not as exciting as Susan's, but we just completed a pilot for a food waste drop-off, and under 2 years we collected 40 tons of food, which is just fantastic. So we're opening up our second food waste drop-off site. So I wanted to bring that up in case any other communities were interested in doing something similar. They might composting is that what happens? Yeah, we composted all of that waste, and we have an agriculture farm park that we can take it to and have it reused.
Great.
So I have to, last night, today's Wednesday, last night, so in Orange County, in Hillsborough is going to be cited our diversion, which is mental health, urgent care, wraparound services that will also support homelessness, reentry. So we're not cutting the window or cutting the window, the ribbon, but we're moving that ahead as a county being cited in Hillsborough, proximity to Orange Correctional and urgent care and the hospital. So that's something that it will be a game changer for us.
Well, that's a tough prompt. I mean, we're really excited about we're running one of the national boards of smart city and IoT programs. So sometimes I like to talk to our community about just what we're doing in Morrisville to really leverage technology to enhance services to residents. It's really exciting what we're doing, but it's really easy. It doesn't cost a lot of money, and but I think the most important project that's really out of the box that Morrisville's doing is something that we've been participating in called a language collaborative. So 47% of our population, based on research our staff has done, is from the nation of India. 48.5%. And so many of these are Indians that are coming as new immigrants. So these Kamala, who's now Mayor Pro Tem, he speaks 4 Indian languages, but he's an immigrant from India. And so the town decided, well, what language can we select of our residents? And so there was a research project, and we identified Hindi, which is the national language of India. So we worked with the Hindu Temple, Hindu Society of Carolina, another nonprofit called Hindi Vikas Mandal. And we're now going to be offering translation services to the Indian community of Morrisville in Hindi. And so it's really exciting, and we're going to be getting grants and money to do it. So it's really amazing, how inclusivity is one of our goals, but how our staff are really above and beyond the call of duty. And these are immigrants that have a hard time understanding government services, and there's over 18 languages in India. So there was an argument to make, could we pick like Telugu or Bengali or, Kannada, which my parents speak, and we decided to speak, or Tamil, to pick Hindi. So it's just really, I just thought I'd throw that out there. It's kind of interesting, and we're going to be now moving forward with that project. And it pushed us to do a lot of the demographic analysis. So, 48.5% is the number of people in Morrisville that are from India. So that's pretty amazing growth. So anyways.
Great, Judith. Yeah.
Well, in Carrboro is summer 2024, we will be opening the 203 library, and in partnership with Orange County. It's an Orange County branch library that will also house a teen center, our local radio, and the town of Carrboro Parks and Rec and Cultural, and we're hoping to have Cat's Cradle Black Box Productions there as well. So it is very exciting for the town of Carrboro to have a building with these multi-synergistic uses. So very exciting for us.
In Holly Springs, we, since last time you guys met, we passed the bond at the last election, so $100 million. And so there's a Parks and Rec bond that has happened, which means we're opening a state-of-the-art park. And we're excited about that. We're starting to do a lot of work around that. And then last week, thank you, Commissioner Evans, for being out. We had to do a groundbreaking, so I didn't know that I get to throw dirt in this road. Pretty cool. But we are opening a new operations center. So the operations center that we had, what we have is outdated. And as a council member, I got to see the behind the scenes of it, and it was really outdated. We are now going to have a new state-of-the-art operations center, as well as we're breaking ground on a new we broke ground on a new fire station, which will allow us to decrease times to get to houses on the other side of town. So there's a lot of cool things happening in Holly Springs right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
In FUPA Arena, we are ranked as number one safest small town in the state of North Carolina and 18th nationally. 18th nationally.
All right. Great. Share a couple of window items. We have a $50 million bond that we passed. So we've got a $38 million Parks and Rec, $12 million transportation. So we've got a lot of cool projects on the board coming up for that. So a couple weeks back, we recently had a local landowner, it's a working farm partnership with Wake County and Triangle Land Conservancy, 125-ish acres that is now protected long-term from development. Largest project of its type in the entire state. So really cool to see that in Wendell, which is the fastest growing municipality in the state. So the flip side of that, we have protected area as well. So we're really excited about that. Cut the ribbon on new Wake Med 12-bed emergency department. Just opened up 2 weeks ago. So excited about that too. And we have a new park. We're getting ready to turn some dirt in a week or two. Actually, I think the dirt's already been turned, but we're going for the picture. And we'll have a new multi-purpose field, a new fully accessible park. We're jumping into the pickleball court arena. So a lot of cool things happening in the window. Right?
Could I weigh in on one of the things he mentioned about the big land conservation piece? I wanted to just shed light on how Wake County is now funding that, because this is a new thing we just started in the last year. If those of you who know, for folks who operate bona fide farms, they get a reduced rate with their property taxes. But then when those farms are eventually sold for development, we get rollback taxes for so many years at the time of that sale. We are now dedicating the rollback taxes that we are collecting to fund these land conservation efforts to help us buy this property from landowners that are willing to sell it to us. So I wanted to have a chance to share that in case any other community wants to look into that. I'll be happy to talk to you about it.
We're just taking it away.
So you first, then you.
City of Durham, we actually opened a new pickleball court. I think there's about 16 courts. And played there's a lot of pickleball happening. And I will say that the Durham Tech has actually partnered with Duke, and they're doing an early college healthcare focus to try and backfill for all of those nurses and other health professionals that we're having a shortage on. And I'm blanking on the next thing, but there are a lot of things.
I'll come back if you think about it. Yeah, go ahead.
Arch Lodge is planning our ribbon cutting ceremony this coming March for our first town park. And we're phase 1 and phase 2. We're very excited about that. We were just incorporated 14 years ago. So, and we were very excited. We were very fortunate to receive some part of grant monies and other grant monies to help make that possible. And during the incorporation process and after the incorporation process, we had a lot of surveys and public meetings, and one of the top priorities for our residents were recreational opportunities. So we're very excited to bring that to them.
Yeah. In Sanford, we have a lot of development right now. We're building a new athletic stadium for 60 million stadium in Lee County. And it's, we're excited about that. It's a project that we've been looking forward to start the last 3 years. Finally, we're able to do it with the county, and we're excited about doing that.
For which sport?
Athletic center.
Is it multi-sport or is it?
Multi-sport.
Okay, cool.
Multi-sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Orange County hired a consultant to look at both our school districts to assess the conditions of our public school facilities. The results of that work came in at $2 billion of need. And even though there's, we cannot do $1 billion of need, we did fund a plan that will start us on that road, and so we will be putting most likely a $300 million bond on the ballot in November to fund that work.
Good luck. Do we have any online people? You guys want a chance to speak up?
Replacements.
Anybody else in the room want to go? Well, I'll go. In Apex, we had a really beautiful and award-winning downtown plan in 2019, in the fall of 2019. And we're getting ready to break ground this year on the first project that comes from that plan document. So we're very excited.
We're said to be the only people that don't speak in the room today. Little Andrew, we're the redheaded stepchild of this region that is just busting at the seams with growth and development and opportunity. So, wow. And the great things y'all are accomplishing, we have a lot on our horizon and we have taken steps to get us there. So, thank you for lending your good news. We can celebrate with y'all.
Any last calls? All right, if there are no other items on the agenda, I call this meeting adjourned.
Thank you.